My name is Brad Scott. I'm the U.S. history teacher at Akron Early College High School. I'm going to say a few words about why we're here tonight. First, I'd like to share a little bit about Project Soapbox, because on the surface, this appears to be nothing more than a speech competition, but to Akron Early College High School, it's become much more than that. We implemented Project Soapbox as a way to elevate student voice. Akron Public School District has a focus with the goal of making APS not only the #1 school district in Ohio, but the #1 urban school district in the United States. One outcome or result of the focus states that APS graduates will be academically prepared and well-rounded students that are informed and engaged citizens. As a history teacher, I love that. This is an opportunity for students to engage as citizens of the community. Before the start of last school year, several APS staff attended a conference where this Project Soapbox curriculum was being taught. And Early College took a baby step and taught Project Soapbox to 10th graders. The students rose to the challenge and they blew us away. Several of you were there, and you can attest to the fact that the speeches were incredible. Well, a few weeks later, we started to work as a staff, English, science, math, social studies, foreign language, and the administration to implement Project Soapbox across 9th, 10th, and 11th grade. And this whole process from the end of last school year until today has truly been a cross-curricular, cross-grade level effort. The student impact is visible. It makes a difference when every subject teacher is helping with the same project. The really magical part about Soapbox, though, is not what the teachers were doing. The magic is in the peer support. If you could see the students practicing their speeches for the first time, or if you could see the students giving each other feedback, or if you could see the students helping one another with research, you would know in your bones that this is what learning looks like. It's not just content, but interpersonal skills, social, emotional skills, and really just building up the courage to do something that you didn't think that you could do. I'm sorry to say, this event is not the most magical part of Soapbox. The magic is in these ordinary interactions students have with one another preparing for this event. These very ordinary interactions are what was truly extraordinary. You know what I mean? Soapbox is much more than a speech competition. Almost every student, in my experience, fears public speaking. But there's two things that we do to help our speakers, and I'm going to encourage the audience, I'm going to encourage you to do both of these things tonight. So I would like you to give snaps for support. Okay? So if the speaker says something that's powerful, you give them snaps, okay? That doesn't mean that you like the statistic. Your snaps show that the statistic was powerful. It might be sad, but it's powerful, so you snap for it, okay? Snaps can also be for the way they use their voice, or even if they lose their spot. If I lose my spot right now, you can give me some snaps, okay? So the other thing we do is wild applause at the end of every speech. So some people think that you should clap for a speech like somebody just blew out their birthday candles, like, yeah. But we think that you should clap for a speech like they just won the NBA Finals. That's how you should clap. And you should use your voice, too. So my students, let's practice a little bit. What does that sound like? Yeah, that's good, yeah. That was like a 7 out of 10. Let's try it again. I think you could do better. 9 out of 10? Yeah. 8.5? Let's try it again. I think you do better. Parents, too. Parents, my honored guests. Let's try it again. Louder. Go. Yeah. That's good. That's good. I like that. Yeah. All right. So I'd be really happy if we took the wild applause seriously for every student. Really. Before we get started, here's how this is going to happen. Audience, you are also going to get a chance to vote for your favorite speech. You can go to this website and you punch in this PIN number, and it's going to be a ranking system, so you can rank 1, I think you can go up to 10, but you're going to get more of your vote's going to go to 1 than it does to 2 and 3, and so you don't have to just vote for 1, you can vote for multiple. And then also we have our honored panel of judges that I'd like to introduce. We have Jeff Fusco. He is the Akron City Council at-large representative. David James is Akron Public Schools Superintendent. Lisa Mansfield is from the Akron Public School Board of Education. Damiana Merriweather is the Akron Early College High School Senior Class President. Carla Sibley is from Akron Public Schools Director of Community Relations. Veronica Sims is Akron City Council at-large representative. And Billy Soul is the assistant to the mayor for community relations. And Billy Soul is also the creator of Peacemakers, which is celebrating their 10-year anniversary this year. Early College loves Peacemakers. Okay, and the judges are going to select a choice of winners amongst themselves. So you can see there's 2 trophies. One will be audience choice, one will be the judge's choice. And then I'd also like to say that I'm really grateful to the staff. When I suggested Soapbox be expanded to multiple grade levels, nobody even flinched. Everybody took it on wholeheartedly, and I swear the entire staff at Early College has secret special superpowers. Every one of them is amazing, and they do everything for our students. And I'd like to thank the administration, too, for supporting this event, because giving teenagers a stage and a microphone and letting them say whatever they want in front of the superintendent, it takes a lot of guts. So I think I speak for the whole staff when I say we have a great administration in this school, so thank you. And I'm going to leave you with a quote. Michael Fullen is an educational researcher, and he once said, what would happen, well, I guess he asked it, he didn't say it. He asked, what would happen if we treated students as a person whose opinion matters? So let's see what happens. Okay, first up, we have Aubree Baldwin. She's an 11th grade student.
Hi, I'm Aubree Baldwin, and I'm going to talk about palm oil production, its effects on the earth, and what you can do. For those of you who don't know, palm oil is a type of edible vegetable oil that is derived from the palm fruit grown on the African oil palm tree. Palm oil is used in about 50% of our products used today, like shampoos, snack foods, soap, and even ice cream. Palm oil plantations can be found in many countries in Asia, Africa, and South America, but the majority are found in Indonesia and Malaysia. These places have the perfect climate for palm oil plantations to thrive. Palm oil helps many of the local economies, and demand for palm oil will keep rising in the next 50 years. So, if palm oil is such a great product and we use it in so many things, there can't be anything wrong with it, right? Wrong. Unregulated palm oil destroys many animal habitats. Asian elephants, rhinos, tigers, and orangutans once thrived in these rainforest environments, but are now going extinct due to habitat destruction. There are less than 40,000 Asian elephants left in the wild, and it's steadily declining every day. There were once 100,000. 100,000. And it's not only affecting animals, it's affecting many rare plants that are found in only these places. Furthermore, unregulated palm oil plantations have a major impact on climate change. Climate change is driven by many gases in the atmosphere, especially carbon. Carbon absorbs the Earth's heat energy and radiates it in all directions. The energy radiated downwards warms the surface and lowers the lower atmosphere. Adding more CO2 to the atmosphere means more heat radiation is captured by the atmosphere and radiated back to Earth. Deforestation in places like Indonesia is also particularly damaging because these forests store more carbon than any other ecosystems in the world. They also burn peatlands to make these plantations, which are carbon-rich swamps. These can hold up to 18 to 28 times more carbon than the trees above them. And this carbon can be released for decades into the environment. Also, when the trees are cleared to make room for the plantations, they burn them, which releases carbon and affects the climate. Now, palm oil is not a bad substance if it's regulated properly. Organizations like RSPO and Green Palm push companies to use sustainably produced palm oil. So look for their seal of approval on their products. You can also help by looking on product ingredient labels to see if they contain palm oil. Some common names for palm oil and palm oil derivatives are palm fruit oil, palm kernel oil, and palmitate. If you find these labels on their products, find out if they use sustainably produced palm oil. If they don't, boycott their products until they do. And spread the word. Tell friends, family, and anyone who listens. With your help, I know we can help bring down carbon emissions and help orangutans, elephants, tigers, and many other species come back from the brink of extinction. Because as Dr. Seuss once said, unless someone like you cares a whole awful lot, nothing is going to get better. It's not. Thank you.
Okay, next up we have Kofi Blotchy. Blotchy. Kofi's an 11th grader.
He can't be our CEO. He's old and his hair is way too gray. And look, I love her for the job, but with those heels on, she's got to stay away. She cannot run the local weight training program. She's way too fat. And he can't be our next president. He's way too black. Imagine applying for a job as qualified and ready as can be, but because of your appearance, you can't even be the interviewee. This is appearance discrimination. Appearance discrimination is precisely defined as the discrimination of an individual because of their weight, style of dress, and body art, and how fitting that they call it a body art, an art. Being an artist myself, I look at things in a different perspective. I see individuals as unique. I see progressive communities as dreamers for a better tomorrow. But with appearance discrimination occurring way too often in our workplaces, communities, and schools, we're giving a hindrance to progressivism, a fear of diversity, and an increase in monotony. If we focus solely on the young man with spiked hair and neck tattoos, then we overlook the years and years of higher education that he's been through. How can we hope for the young female to break the glass ceiling barriers when we call her clothing untraditional and try to bury her? While this may be a funny and somewhat nitpicky topic of choice, the evidence of appearance discrimination has never been more prevalent. More than 1 out of 10% of the 115 million working age women say that they would consider having a cosmetic medical procedure just to make them more competitive in the job market. A study done by the American Society of Plastic Surgeons found that 73% of women thought that a youthful appearance played a role in them getting a job, getting a promotion, or gaining more clientele into their workplace. And what makes this even worse is that this is totally legal. This is not controlled, classified, or protected under the Equal Opportunity Commission. And see, we as a society, we're quick to look at one's appearance and infer their qualifications before ever sitting down with them to have a civilized conversation. We grow our opinions based on morals and ideological truths that we set within ourselves, but the truth is, there is no truth. Only perception of what is believed to be right and what's believed to be normal. We live in a world that judges the appearance of the headshot before reviewing the qualifications of the applicant. We advertise a world of can'ts, yet we provide a world of can'ts. We proclaim power to the one with Nike's ripped jeans, looks clean, but acts mean. But I want to change that. I want to challenge every politician, every student, every community leader, and every parent to do like Martin Luther King infamously said, look at the content of one's character instead of the crisp look of their clothing. Change the focus from clothes to souls, the perception from exterior to interior. Before you judge the outside looking in, consider being on the inside looking out. And most importantly, change your words. You see, words are powerful. Words can create the next NBA athlete, the next neurosurgeon, the next software architect, engineer, but words can also promote the next college dropout and felon. In our society today, we don't listen to understand, we listen to reply. And we need to raise our words, not our voices, for it's the rain that makes the flowers grow, not the thunder. We have to alter the destructive nature of our words into constructive paths of optimism and hope. And while I may not fit the norm of every other speaker that speaks today, I hope that my message is relayed as clear, if not clearer, than ever before. I challenge respected politicians to make appearance discrimination a more prevalent conversation. Why? Because the best form of community is a civically engaged community. The more we learn, the better we progress. And I guess the question would then be, how do we progress? I'm glad you asked. We progress as a society when we understand that not every person wearing a hijab and practicing Muslim faiths is a terrorist, when we realize that not every police officer is a racist, when we realize that the only wall that needs to be built is a wall of love, hope, and acceptance. Together, we can be the change that we seek to have in this world. Together, we can build a coalition of change. Together, we can fight the battle of the unjust. Together, I don't need this. Together, we can fight the battle that our ancestors and predecessors have so longingly fought for. Together, no one can stop us. Thank you.
All right. Next up, we got Jason Doe, 10th grade.
What am I supposed to do when a bully has me pinned against a wall, mercilessly beating me within an inch of my life? What are my friends supposed to do, watching me as I'm practically begging them to stop this? According to school policies, nothing. I can physically do nothing. According to school policies, all I can do is tough it out. All I can do is wait for it all to end. And then all I can do is wait for a teacher and tell them. What use would that be? What good would it be if I have to handle the pain and suffering, the mental and physical after effects of this all? Now, this may seem like an over-exaggeration, but things like this is occurring in public schools all over Akron and aren't being fixed. Thus are the effects of the no-tolerance policy and why it needs to be altered into a more efficient policy. I have personally seen the no-tolerance policy's lack of effectiveness in my last 5 years of school. I've personally seen bullies suspended on a weekly basis, only to return and continue what they're doing, assaulting the victim once more. This vicious cycle will only continue until we do something about it. The no-tolerance policy is only a short fix, a helpless fly's temporary reprieve against the web of bullying. A bully is sent home for a week after being caught. What then? Will the bully enjoy his time away from school? Will he enjoy the short time where he does not have to do anything before going back? What use would that suspension be if the person continues time after time again, even after the suspension has been lifted? According to a survey done by StopBullying.gov, 30% of young people admit to bullying others. Think about that for a second. 30%. Now that may not seem like a large amount, but if you think about it more clearly, the reality becomes clear. 1/3 of you in this room would bully another person. If we think about how many people in Akron are bullies and how many are being bullied, you find out how serious this problem really is. Is this policy really protecting people, or is it just an added paranoia that pokes at every possible person that throws a punch? If you listen closely to the arguments for the no-tolerance policy, you find that they revolve around preventing violence. But what part of preventing violence is allowing the bully to continue doing this? We need to stop this cycle. We need to save the victims. How, you may ask? Think closely about the real reasons bullies do what they do. Top reasons include depression, desensitization, family issues, or even just wanting to have power in their lives. We need to show them ways they can take out their anger rather than taking it out on others. That way they won't have a reason to bully anymore, whether it be helping others out, counseling, or even just a punching bag to punch. We can provide services and make this community a better place. However, we also need harsher punishment. A suspension is, in simplest terms, a bully's vacation. We are essentially rewarding these bullies for bullying. And to prevent that, we need deterrence. We need ways to make sure they will never bully again. Fines, anger management, community service, even withholding diplomas if the offense is severe enough. We need to strike at the source of the problem, the very core of bullying, the bully himself. 3.2 million people nationwide are a victim of bullying, according to the movement project Do Something. We could save a portion of those 3.2 million people just by amending this policy. After all, as American singer Jason Mraz once said, when all of us are acknowledged as the human beings that we really are, there will be no space left for bullying. Thank you.
Hey, next up we have John Fuller, 10th grade.
Good evening, everyone. To be or not to be? To be or not to be? That is the question. Take poverty, for example. The government will house you. They'll call it low-income housing. They'll say that you will have received your benefits. Neither of these is true. Plain and simple, it's called poverty. You are not homeless. Low utility bills, decent rent. What's not to love about this? But there's a problem. Who's going to feed you? You work at McDonald's, making minimum wage, and you're young. You love to party, but once again, you have a problem. Who's going to pay your rent? Government assistance programs like food stamps and Section 8 housing are simply not enough. Actually, many believe that these programs are entwined with poverty. I am also a firm believer of this. When you've been living in Section 8 housing all your life, there's no motivation to buy your own house. Then you find yourself in the middle of a Section 8, in the middle of a chain reaction that will never stop. As a victim of this, you may ask yourself, the government has housed me, so why can't they feed me or clothe me? They might as well pay for your vacation, right? You see, poverty has overcome us, and it cannot be stopped overnight. It cannot vanish into thin air. What this place needs is pathways out of poverty. Early college has taught me many things about college life. An important one being the college word piles up quickly if you don't prioritize. But someone who looks like me, who talks like me, who walks like me, may not know anything about college due to the fact that a life of poverty does not allow it. So I'll be honest. I wrote this to say thank you to early college because it is truly my pathway out of poverty. But the catch is that not everyone has this privilege. Thank you.
Hey, next up we have Christina Gilchrist. She is an 11th grader.
You are ugly, pathetic, useless, disgusting, and a waste of space. But I still love you, I guess. It's not the way you should dress, and your hair is a mess, but I guess I still love you. There's so many signals and so many signs making you feel jealous as if you need to compete, but in reality, a relationship shouldn't be like this. It should make you feel complete. 73% of 13 and 14-year-olds are dating. But I know this is early, but we need to show them what's real instead of waiting. My name is Christina Gilchrist, and I'm here to shake the silence. My name is Christina, and I will be telling you today about teen dating violence. This is an important topic, that's for sure, because how many teens are walking around depressed because their boyfriend calls them a difficult person to be around? Knowing if you ever loved me has become a debate because looking back now, I wonder why I couldn't sense these intoxicating fumes of hate, because when you would treat me right, you would pick and choose, and I realized it was an uphill battle that I wasn't gonna win. Instead of treating me as a person you love, you throw your affection in my face with violent words instead of love. You would act as if you were tired of me, annoyed and bored, and I started to make excuses to stay home, like to do my homework and do chores. I felt so caged in these emotional bars, and you became enraged and added to bruises and scars. All of this abuse I put on the back shelf, but you said it wasn't okay to hate anyone except for myself. You wanted to go a step further, telling me to take a chance, but all you could think about is how you wanted to advance, but I didn't. Because it was all too soon, little did I know that because it was something you wanted, you were gonna let me say no. You heard that I've been opening up a little bit, and then someone tried to talk to you about it, and what did you do? You threw a fit, and you told them that I was somehow asking for it. Even being open with you turned into a fight, but I stayed up, and I'm hoping and praying you wouldn't break up with me tonight. Even after it was only supposed to be you and me, as you said over and over again, this is reality. If that was just so, and it was so sad because I couldn't even see my own family without your anger guilting me. And you were so hostile as if a hungry pup, and when I was right, you wouldn't tell me anything except to shut up. At first, when you left me, it was nothing to spare, but then I took a second look because there was no more yelling, there was no more tears, and I could finally breathe my own air. Between the ages of 16 and 24, you're 3 times more likely to be abused, but wait, there's more. Even after the relationship has ended and time passes by, 70% won't get help or think to try, because when we find out, all we can ask is why? Well, the answer to that is so simple, because they're afraid to bat an eye because people make it seem oh so simple, to just leave, just say goodbye. But it really isn't so simple, you see, because it wasn't you, it was me. The system is so wrong and it's gone on for so long, and I think it's time for some change before it's too late and more people are gone. Because there's absolutely no excuse for this type of abuse, and something needs to be said. More education needs to be put in a kid's head. Instead of teaching the kids the red flags and the flashing warning signs, they need to be shown the right way, and we need to draw these lines. Prevention and intervention, that's what we need. With time, education, dedication, some of these people will be freed. This treatment of others is not okay, no how, and no way. They need to be shown to treat their partner with love and respect every single day. With this new form of education, we can cure this disease that's affecting every generation. So here I stand up and scream this story in the names of many for the love and respect and to stop this silence. My name is Christina Gilchrist, and this is my take on teen dating violence.
Hey, next up, we have Priya Harris. Priya's a 9th grader.
The kids are cruel. They make me feel worthless. I can't do this anymore. Something my 12-year-old brother said to me. Mom, I don't fit in at all. No matter what I do, it's never good enough. I honestly just want to die. Something my 12-year-old brother says to my mom every day. As a 6th grader heads into school, their only concern should be getting a good grade on a test, not worrying whether that one kid will shove them into the lockers today. When a kid posts something on social media, they should only have to feel a spark of happiness for every like they get, not a suicidal thought for every hurtful comment that's posted. This is what bullying does. It creates this constant burning anxiety in someone and tears down every inch of confidence they might hold. According to bullyingstatistics.org, more than 160,000 students stay home from school every day just to avoid getting bullied. Whether it's behind a screen or face-to-face, bullying leads to so many weaknesses. Social and emotional difficulties, academic problems, and most commonly, physical injuries. So what are bystanders? What role do they play in the situation? Well, these are the ones who see, but they don't say. They watch the unwanted aggressive behavior in action, but they don't do anything about it. Maybe it's because they don't care. Maybe it's because they've never been taught to take action against an encounter like bullying. But this is where we come in. Referring to NoBullying.com, 80% of the youth who commit suicide are due to peer victimization and bullying. Well, I say we do something about it. As a community, we can emphasize the importance of putting the damaging to an end. As a community, we can incorporate bullying awareness into schools, neighborhoods, society. So let's be the upstanders. Kids, if you see another kid sending hurtful negative texts to someone, tell them they're wrong. Victims, if someone is cyberly or physically causing you harm and won't stop, tell someone. Principals, take one day out of the 180 you're given to hold a bullying prevention assembly. Because according to teachsafeschools.org, when a bystander intervenes, the bullying stops within the next 10 seconds, more than half of the time. Because when we finally stand up and do something about it, my brother, along with all of the other victims of bullying, can finally feel worth of all they have to offer. Thank you.
Okay, up next we have Sya Wha 2. Sya Wha's a 9th grader.
Have you ever felt like you're not good enough no matter how much you try? Have you ever felt like you didn't exist? There's one girl who felt that way. She was an insecure person with a low self-esteem. She didn't think she was thin enough or pretty enough. She starved herself, cut herself, and cried herself to sleep every night thinking why she was the way she was. That girl was me. 62% of all girls feel insecure. 71% of girls with low self-esteem feel their appearance does not add up. Negative body image can lead to depression, anxiety, and suicidal thoughts. 25% of teen girls with low self-esteem resort to injuring themselves on purpose. I cut myself to take my mind off that. I just didn't care what happened. I had no fear, confessed Demi Lovato. Everyone has their own beauty and flaws. It is okay to be different. Instead of hurting yourself, learn to love yourself. Reach out for help if you have to. No life is worth risking for beauty's sake. If you're criticized for your appearance, don't be afraid to stand up for yourself. You're beautiful in all shapes and sizes. For those of you who judge others by their looks, you're not any better. Stop trying to make others feel bad about themselves. Nobody deserves to feel that way. If you see somebody going through this situation, a simple compliment will make them smile. Instead of bringing each other down, hold each other up. Stop thinking so negative about yourself or others. No matter how big or small you are, you're very beautiful. Don't let anyone say otherwise. Your personality is all that matters, not your looks. Be yourself, a leader, not a follower. I've been through it. I know how it feels. I also know that things get so much easier when you accept yourself for who you are. Be your own kind of beautiful.
Okay, next up we have Heather Jandeka. Heather's a 10th grader.
Aristotle once said, "Music has the power of producing a certain effect on the moral character of the soul. And if it has the power to do this, it is clear that the young must be educated in it and must be directed towards it." I was one of the lucky ones that had a chance to go to a performing arts school, and I can clearly see the benefits and the skills I have because of it. And yet, according to status of arts education in Ohio public schools, over 54,000 students in Ohio don't have access to performing arts programs. Performing arts programs are important and helpful to the overall learning environment, and yet, they're the first thing to be cut from school district budgets. Downtown Akron is extremely good at showcasing talent and creativity by having murals, gardens, theaters, and even our own art museum. And yet, our youth, that we are relying on to continue to enhance Akron and share their creativity, are being deprived of the schooling and the environment they need to further their talents. As students, we are told to be creative and original, and yet the programs that are in place to allow us to do this is being taken away, diminished, or never there to begin with. Performing arts programs also provide students with skills they could use in every academic classroom. According to a study by the Neuro at McGill University and Oxford University, performing arts programs help with the overall brain development by improving hand-eye coordination, motor skills, and the ability to retain information, which could help in every career and every academic classroom. These programs give us inspiration that we can all use in our daily lives, no matter what we choose to do. And yet, we are told we can do whatever we want to, but there is a catch. Because some choose to believe that a real career can never be in the performing arts. Because not every job is considered realistic, but without performing arts, we would never have TV, music, plays, or paintings. Teachers are always trying to motivate us to do our best and to stay in school, but for some, their only motivation to go to school is because of performing arts programs. And yet, their motivation is being stripped away a budget cut at a time. At the moment, for most schools to be able to host galas, put on performances, or even buy art supplies, they have to fundraise or make the students do it. This system crucially needs to be fixed, because having to fundraise just to be able to go to a class or have materials for a class puts more stress on the student that they don't need. Akron Public Schools Director of Arts and officers in Akron Public Schools that have the ability to control what the budget go towards and how they are spent need to realize how important art programs really are and how much they can help impact students overall. Why can't we decide if students should have access to programs that can help them develop skills they can use all throughout their life? Why can't we decide if we should have performing arts programs? We as a whole need to promote the arts and stop the budgets from being cut, because the benefits from performing arts programs are priceless to the future of our youth. Thank you.
All right. Next up, Joshua Knox, also a 10th grader.
Students must be taught how to think and not what to think. Good evening, my name is Joshua Knox. I come to school every day, Monday through Friday, trying to do the same thing. I work hard to try and stay afloat in a ship that always seems to be sinking. I work to pass the test and rarely remember anything after we take it. I think that this is a problem in our schools. The students are taught every day how to succeed at passing the test and not how to succeed at life. The necessary skills they need just aren't being taught. I'm not saying the schools aren't doing a good job. They need to add something for the students' greater good. We're being taught the skills the state wants us to know and not what we need for our own lives. The older generation says we always need to be carried, but we wouldn't need that help if the skills we learn could be varied. We push them to strive toward greatness while we still hold them down. The students lose their curiosity because they have learned the way the system works, and then they work to succeed inside the system. The students try and do what they need to do and not what they want to do. The schools push students to pursue a career in the academic landscape. They push for more doctors, lawyers, engineers, and scientists. Not all the students want to go into these fields. If you limit the skills they are taught, you limit their option to explore. They put them on a planned path to success that they have used for decades. In a world where people can do dumb challenges and post it to YouTube with millions of loyal fans supporting them, can make more money than a doctor or lawyer might make in their entire career, it might be time for a change. The help we need could already exist. We could build these skills into our curriculum to be their best. We could teach them how to file taxes in many of our classes. We could teach them how to fill out a resume instead of ACT practice. We practice for days upon days for our state exams when the time we use could be used to teach many needed skills. Everything we do doesn't need to be changed. We need to do something for the students' greater good. Many students don't know how to handle money or even how to cook a meal. Things we are taught is where our zygomatic is in the quadratic formula. These skills aren't very useful in many aspects in life, but the people in charge think it's very important. A solution to our problem could be to create an environment where students can create and explore. We need to put in systems that will engage the student and not have them focus on the same system every single day. To change things, first, people need to take action. We need to urge our lawmakers, our school boards, our teachers, and our parents to understand that the system just isn't working. In the world of constant change, school has seemed to be left behind. I want to leave you with one final thought that may stick in your mind. Would you ever want your children or grandchildren to be taught the same way you were with little change or variation at all?
Okay, up next we have Lala. You are a ninth grader. Let's go, Blute.
At 5, baby Esperanza experienced the piercing of skins on hers. The grunts accepted the thunder on her whole body as the salt water poured from her eyes. She never went to sleep that night. At 9, young Amal felt the loneliness of the dark as his stomach rumbled with the need for attention. He shivered and shook with the cold winds while his wounds finished to flow of scarlet. He never disobeyed his parents again. At 11, Aisha tasted the bitterness of cancer sticks, the smoke filling her lungs as she wished for death to take her away from the thick, cold hands of her father and the lunatic mother that ran around the house. She never quit smoking. At 15, Petite Maung covered her arms and legs from the burning sun as she walked past the soccer field where the cheerleaders are joking and making fun of her. Yet no one knew the black and blue that burned and covered her pale skin. She grew thin and ghostly. At 17, mature Kibo left the house of the killers that raised and bruised him, that starved and locked him, that diminished his confidence and broke his faith. He felt his freedom at last. An organization at childhope.org has stated that every 10 seconds there is a report about child abuse. 80% of abused children grow up with at least one psychological disorder. A campaign to stop child abuse at DoSomething.org has stated that in the United States, more than 4 children die from child abuse and neglect on a daily basis. 70% of these children are under the age of 3. Children are one of the lights in the world, and if broken, the light burns out. To keep the light burning, we must help them by calling authorities, help them by tending to their needs, and help them to recover. Otherwise, the light will eventually burn out completely.
Okay, our next speaker will be Tabitha Mears, 11th grade.
How many of you have grown up watching violent television shows or play violent video games on a daily basis? Have you ever thought about the negative impacts violent television shows have on society? Television shows have changed drastically from the last generation until currently. In the past, television shows presented a moral or a principle at the end of the show where children learned something, even if it was as simple as to never tell a lie. Now, television shows are based more on comedy, and more often than not, these shows contain scenes that are not appropriate for young viewers, like the use of curse words, bad references, and violence is making its way through many televisions. If children are exposed to too much violence on television, they are more likely to learn aggressive behaviors, they will experience less sensitivity to victims of violence, and they will have increased or exaggerated fear of being victimized. I'm not talking about a show where a fist fight breaks out in a school and the children get punished. I'm talking about mindless violence that is not there to serve a purpose or teach a lesson, but instead is just there for mere entertainment. Violence is widespread across the television landscape. For example, according to the American Psychological Association, if you turn on a television set and pick a channel at random, the odds are better than 50-50 that the program you encounter will contain violent material. To be even more precise, 60% of approximately 10,000 programs sampled contain violent material. More than half of the violent shows, or 53%, contain lethal acts, and 1 in 4 of the programs of violence, 25%, depicted the use of a gun. Millions of children spend an average of 20 hours or more per week watching television, and this cumulative exposure to violent images can shape young minds in unhealthy ways. More often than not, these children are watching television with little to no guidance, not knowing which shows will cause them the most harm in the future. Children are also unable to detect which aspects of the television show are unrealistic. Portrayals of violence fail to show realistic harm to victims. Immediate pain and suffering by victims is included in less than half of all scenes of violence. More than a third depict mild harm to victims, not showing the severity of the injury, giving children an unrealistic idea of how bad someone could really get hurt. Also, in television shows, violence is glamorized, normally being done by an attractive role model who is often justified for acting the way they do, and who suffer no remorse, criticism, or penalty for their violent actions. Since violence is glamorized, this poses a much greater risk to children than if it was resulting in negative outcomes. The less violence we can introduce to our children, the better off they will be. Not only are some children watching too much TV, but they're watching things that could harm them later in life. Parents should monitor what television shows their children watch, as well as if they do watch violent television shows, be there to talk to them and explain the aspects of the show that are being presented unrealistically. Therefore, parenting is key. There are many dangers that this world yields to young people, and it is up to parents to limit the amount of danger their children will be vulnerable to. I'm not saying to take away violence on television totally, but it is unnecessary how much violence there is on television show. I also believe that some violence may help shape young minds so that they know there are dangers in the world that they should be mindful of. However, the violence I'm talking about is mindless violence that is not there to teach a lesson, but instead just for entertainment. I'm talking about the shows that use attractive role models to commit violent actions and show no remorse, but instead are glorified. We need to educate our younger generation on how to be a good person. We need to bring back the days where children were watching shows that would teach them life lessons and to grow them up to be sensitive to others' needs and not behave aggressively, but instead to treat people how they want to be treated. We may not be able to convince the cable network to stop airing shows that will negatively impact our children, but if we simply stop watching these shows, eventually the cable networks will have no choice but to meet our needs and our children's needs of television shows that will not produce harm to them later in life. We don't want our children to grow up with no sensitivity to others' needs and to behave aggressively. We can be the generation to make the change and stop watching violence on television. Thank you.
Okay, next up we have Kristen Isley.
Sorry. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Kristen Isley, and today I'll be talking to you about the All Lives Matter movement. Please raise your hand if you're aware of the hashtag Black Lives Matter or hashtag All Lives Matter. The Black Lives Matter hashtag was started after Trayvon Martin was a victim of police brutality. Shortly after this, the All Lives Matter hashtag was started to argue that the Black Lives Matter overlooks other Americans. Today I will discuss how the All Lives Matter movement is not a legitimate movement, how if they truly believed that All Lives Matter, they'd be supporting Black Lives Matter, and how All Lives Matter only stands for white lives. All Lives Matter is not a real movement because its only purpose is to take attention and credibility away from the Black Lives Matter movement. There are countless scenarios where All Lives Matter could have took a stand, but they were silent. For example, when President Trump made the travel ban, All Lives Matter was silent. While people are being deported and families torn apart, All Lives Matter is silent. While refugees are dying, All Lives Matter is silent. The only time that All Lives Matter speaks up is to tear down anything that the Black Lives Matter movement does. If All Lives Matter truly believed that All Lives Matter, then they'd be supporting the Black Lives Matter movement because they would want to support all lives. Unlike what the All Lives Matter movement would like you to believe, Black Lives Matter does not mean only Black Lives Matter. The purpose of the movement is to bring attention to problems that Black Americans are faced with. According to BlackLivesMatter.com, Black Lives Matter is an ideological and political intervention in a world where Black lives are systematically and intentionally targeted for demise. It is an affirmation of Black folks' contribution to our society, our humanity, and our resilience in the face of deadly oppression. If someone truly believed that all lives matter, then they would be willing to support this movement that fights for equality and social justice. But the reason they do not is because all lives matter does not stand for all lives. The truth is that all lives matter only stands for white lives. All lives matter has never stood up against inequality and has never took a stand against oppression because they do not truly believe that all lives matter. In fact, they believe quite the opposite. Whenever Black Lives Matter tries to stand up for equality, All Lives Matter tries to tear them down because they do not want Black Americans or other ethnic minorities to have the equality they deserve. You should not be supporting the All Lives Matter movement because All Lives Matter does not mean that all lives matter. You should take a stand and support the Black Lives Matter movement. You can do this by donating money to blacklivesmatter.com or going to a protest to show your support. Thank you.
Okay, next up we have Chica Kwacha.
Africa, the cradle of civilization, a welcoming and loving land bright in its unique and diversified culture, rich in its diamonds, gold, and oil, along with intelligence, talent, and most importantly, beauty, flowing with vast vegetation and flourished by nature's extraordinary allure. Being the child of 2 Nigerian immigrants, I can tell you that all this is Africa, but this is not America's perspective of it. Americans lack knowledge on one of the world's greatest wonders. It's an issue that today's students are not taught about Africa, and when they are, they're taught slavery. It's an issue that many African Americans have no knowledge on their African ancestry. But what's also an issue is the fact that the media portrays Africa in a negative light, but Africa is anything but the racial stereotypes we perceive it as. For a long time, Africa's importance has been undermined. America, including the rest of the world, has forgotten Africa's value. We have forgotten that there is still optimism for a beautiful continent like Africa. So now the world has missed out on a great load of great opportunities because of this. Africa needs to be seen as a big-time player in the game of international matters. So just to address some common misunderstood stereotypes about Africans, we are not all poor and uneducated. According to the Census Bureau of Data, African immigrants are the most highly educated ethnic group in the USA, stating that 48.9% hold a college diploma or higher, which is double the white American rate. Not only that, however, but the 2 African nations of Libya and Nigeria rank as the 9th and 10th richest countries in the world in oil. So just to clarify once again, Africa can play with the top dogs. There is plenty of hope for a beautiful continent like Africa, and if America, including the rest of the world, sees it, the world would be a better, innovative place. Our communities, and most importantly, our schools, are capable of igniting this change. Schools are the best place to change the beliefs we have on Africa by simply educating our students. Based on a survey encompassing around 100 students at Akron Early College, 20% said they would describe Africa as poor and uneducated, while 60% described it as unmodern and corrupt. If anything, this survey proved that kids have no knowledge or comprehension on what Africa is. And of course, we don't want 6th grade girls and boys believing that people in Africa live in trees, because believe it or not, that was one of my experiences. So we need to realize that our history class curriculums are flexible enough to teach kids about Africa and to teach them correctly, the goods and the bads. After all, if they've taught white history for centuries, why can't African history be taught? So with a better academic program, the common stereotypes of Africa being a jungle with mud houses, naked women, dirty water, or dark-skinned, bald, hungry children would be gone. Our goal should be to educate students about Africa correctly. The Board of Education must open up its doors by bringing in new classes that teach Africa, and that's not asking for too much, is it? At the same time, parents have the responsibility to teach their kids the dangers of stereotypes, while the media must change in its portrayals of Africans. The media may try to pose all sorts of negativity through its TVs, films, or even commercials of hungry African children that are starving. But that's not the case for everyone in Africa. And if we realize that this is not the case for Africa, then we can see Africa for who she truly is, a land flowing with milk and honey that is treasured, artistic, and blessed.
All right, Rhonda Sheldon, 9th grade.
The sky turns gray while the winds blow heavily, a clear sign that a storm is approaching. This sign we tend to pay attention to because it affects our everyday lives. But when we see signs that need to be given attention, we pretend not to notice them, even though it's as obvious as a thunderstorm. Scars, starvation, and becoming distant. These are 3 of the many signs that proves that someone needs our help, yet we tend to ignore. According to yellowdino.com, suicide is the 3rd leading cause of death amongst people ages 15 to 24. This approximates to 5,000 young people a year and 121 a day. It's sad and worrisome that this is even a known statistic. It means that 5,000 people are not being heard or afraid of speaking just to not be heard. Listen to this. 24% of high school students have thought about committing suicide. 24%. I mean, it's crazy that the thought even entered their minds. The thought that the world would be better off without them even came close to their heads. I mean, it makes me itch. And it's known by kidshealth.org that teens try to kill themselves due to situations that seem unbearable. And they were asked if they told anyone. The response? Yes. Did they listen? No. But we can't blame ourselves for not hearing what they were saying. And we can't blame ourselves for not seeing what they were hiding. And we definitely can't blame ourselves for not knowing what they did not want us to know. I mean, yes, the warning signs are there. We just happen to be blindsided by their smiles and happiness. If you didn't know, there are 9 main warning signs that can lead to the suicide of a teen. To name a few, the list includes always talking about death, giving away personal possessions, and taking part of self-destructive behavior. Now, there are people and places preset to help. We just don't take advantage of those. For example, we have counselors in schools, peer meditation programs, and the Morley Health Center. All the tools are there. We just need to learn how to use them and how they can help us. Now here's the big question. What can we do to help? And the answer to that is very simple, and that is to listen. Take the time and listen and really hear what they are saying. Take the time to console and point them in the right direction. Take the time to notice the warning signs and take the time to be a friend and prove to them that they are more than what they think. If we all know that every rose has thorns, and those thorns are pretty noticeable, but since the rose is so pretty, we pick it up thinking it won't stick us. And then we get stuck with the thorn, wondering, why didn't we pay closer attention to it? So unless you want to get hurt by a thorn in your hand or side, pay attention to what it really is you're looking at and avoid the hurt of the thorn. And it's the same way with clear warning signs. Unless you want to feel the pain and go through the grief of your loved one dying, pay attention to the slightest changes in their behavior and avoid the hurt of their thorns. Thank you.
Okay, next up, we have Taja Washington. Taja's an 11th grader. All right.
Good evening, everyone. Like the PowerPoint said, my name is Taja Washington, and I'm going to tell you a story. When I take my 2-year-old sister outside to play on our playground, there's always trash. It contains juice bottles, chip bags, candy wrappers, toys, and the worst of the worst, gum. I got gum in my new shoes twice from being out there. And it makes it unsafe for her, and it brings wasps, flies, bees. And I have to tell her, don't touch that, or try not to trip over trash trying to get to her. And the worst thing is that there's a dumpster not even 25 feet away from the park. So today I'm going to talk to you guys about littering. So first things first, we must know what littering is and why people do it. According to Kathy from thegreenecosystem.com, littering comes from household trash left behind on garbage day, dumpsters used by businesses, loading docks, construction sites and demolition sites, trucks without covers, people in cars, and pedestrians. So why do people in cars and pedestrians litter? Also from Kathy, their reasons is laziness, they don't care, no sense of pride, ignorance, and lack of consequences. And I see this at our playground every day when I take her outside. They're lazy because they don't want to go to the dumpster. The parents have no sense of pride. A person threw away his trash and missed and said, oh, AMHA would get it. Like, you have to have pride where you live. So now that we know why people litter and why they do it, I'm going to tell you a study. It was done by Statistical Brain, August 25th, 2016. It says 75% of people admitted to littering in the past 5 years. How many of you guys have littered? It's okay if you've done it once. And because of this, it costs $11.5 billion to clean it up. And let's go back to the first reason why people litter, laziness. People will take 12 paces before dropping their trash. 12 paces. Like 1 age before you become a teenager, 12. And the top 3 things that are littered are fast food waste, which is 33%, paper, which is 29%, and aluminum, which is 28%. And the biggest thing that's wasted in my community is food waste. Like, they'll drop their trash and move on. So there are 2 things in place to lessen littering, and that's Keep Akron Beautiful and competitive grants by Ohio EPA. Now, Keep Akron Beautiful has done a lot in the last year. They've cleaned 124 sites and picked up 83,821.4 pounds of litter. That's a big number, right? But they still miss places. But then there's also the competitive grants from Ohio EPA. That helps communities to clean up and also do recycling. But they can only go so far. So I'm gonna give you 2 solutions. Now, this first solution, I practice myself, and I try to tell my friends, like, I either hold on to your trash, or just pick up a piece of trash when you see it. Like, for me, when I first gave my speech, in my leather jacket, I had a pack of Goldfish crackers because I told my baby sister, give me your trash so I can throw it away for you, so it wouldn't end up in the park. And then the second thing is putting trash cans where there are none on the street. Because by my bus stop, there is a water drain, so people just throw their stuff in a water drain or leave it in the grass because there's no trash can and they don't want to hold on to it. So I think putting trash cans where there is no on the street will be helpful. And lastly, good evening, and remember, just pick up 1 piece of trash.
Okay, next up we have Jaquan Ren, who is in 11th grade.
Today, me and my classmates did not come for trophies. We did not come for the extra credit points, which we'll be getting. Today, we came to give soapbox speeches. So I'd like to apologize to you, because this is not a speech. This is a call for help to break a curse. If you are black, I wouldn't call 911 or you may end up in a hearse. Racism is extremely strong in America, and it's institutionalized. And we're still stuck on marijuana laws and gay pride. I am black, and I am a suspect for a crime. I love my culture, but I might end up doing time for the same thing a white man does and gets a fine. So let me take back what has been taken from me. Your respect again is mine. Black Lives Matter is a statement. Let's start here, then I'll progress. It means we're people too, not that white people are anything less. It means we should be equal. Can't we get a little justice? It's a peaceful statement. It isn't meant to cause ruckus. Blue lives, white lives, dog lives, gorilla lives, all matter more, I guess. Harambe seems to matter more than a 3-year-old black child's. What a mess. Dylan Roof, a confessed killer, got taken by the cops to get a Whopper. Eric Gardner couldn't even smoke a cigarette without being killed by a copper. I feel like the rapper Tupac because I still see no changes. America divided over colors, over races. Land of the free, I'm pretty sure this includes me. Justice for all, I'm pretty sure that this includes me. If marching won't work, then that may cause a fight. Someone please stop this before it happens and save a black life.
And then we have our very last speech, Maria Finney, 10th grade.
Imagine a girl, hold on, sorry. Imagine a girl that's always laughing, the one who loves to keep everyone else happy. Imagine finding out that she has been broken to the point to where she wanted to end her own life. Imagine finding out that she trusted a man at her church and he took advantage of her. He stole her innocence and he left her broken, confused, and hurt. Now what if I told you that this girl is me? Sexual abuse in the church is a very real problem. It happens to way too many innocent people every year. Nobody asked for it, and nobody deserves it. In 2015, it happened to me, but do not look at me as a victim, because I am a survivor. Although I was left broken, confused, and hurt, this situation has made me stronger than ever. Yet to this day, I will never be able to understand how a person, a supposed man of authority in the house of God, could do something like this. How could they abuse their power and take advantage of an innocent person? Nobody asked for it, and nobody deserves it. Yet it still happens at an astonishing rate. The Abel Hollow Child Molestation Prevention Study showed that out of 561 sexual offenders, there were over 291,000 incidents, totaling over 195,000 victims. Crazy how 93% of these sexual offenders claim to be religious. This same study showed that only 3% of these sexual offenders have a chance of getting caught. Why is that? What happens to the other 97%? Do they just get to go free and never suffer the well-deserved consequences for their actions? No. Okay. Do they just get to go free and never suffer the well-deserved consequences for their actions? In many incidents, this sadly is the case. But I believe that this should no longer be acceptable in any way. We as a community need to come together to put forth an effort to stop this abuse from happening in our churches. People who are being put into Authorities such as ministers, deacons, and bishops should have to be background checked. Anyone who has had a history of any type of sexual harassment should not be allowed in the children's ministry at all, and everyone in church should be made aware of this. As well as if anyone has I can't do this. As well as if anyone in the church notices any particular person showing any child too much attention in an inappropriate way, they should be obligated to report it as well as another precautionary measure, because it is always better to be safe than sorry. Let us all start coming together to make our churches a safer place for our members. Imagine a place where people could come together and worship and not have to worry about if they are safe or not. Being sexually abused by someone in the church can kill a person's faith, and for a while, it killed mine. Although my faith has been restored, to this day, I will never be able to understand why this tragic thing happened to me. Maybe it was to prepare me to stand before you all today and propose the solution to the problem. I know that if you all take my propositions into consideration, then together we can help put a stop to sexual abuse in the church.
Let's have another round of applause for all the presenters. Okay, so now you have the challenge of trying to vote for your favorite speech. And like Jaquan said, this is not about who wins, but we are going to vote. Maria Finney. Maria. Okay, let's have, and while we're waiting for the judges, I think they're still deliberating. Everybody wants to come up. We have some medals for everyone for being finalists. So come on up, medal. right, and then Damiana Merriweather, the Akron Early College High School senior class president, is going to announce the judge's choice.
First, I would like to thank you all for coming out, and to all the contestants, you guys all did very well. Proud of all you guys. And the judges, it was very hard for us to decide, like very, very, very hard. But we chose Kristen Isley.
You want to go grab the trophy and hand it to her?
Okay.
Yeah, the trophy. Okay, parents, here's your photo op. Yeah, if you want to come up and take some photos, and let's hear another round of applause for all the contestants. Thank you, guys.